I wanted to give you a little bit more information about what happens with the work that we do together and what will happen with your information. I'd like to introduce myself a little bit first. So like I said, my name is Shana Nussbaum. I am a clinical rehabilitation and neuropsychologist. Clinical refers to issues like depression, anxiety, trauma, schizophrenia, that sort of thing. I'm qualified to assess and treat those kinds of issues with adults. Rehabilitation in this case isn't referring to drug rehabilitation. It's referring to issues such as people who've had an injury or a stroke or that sort of thing that they're recovering from, and I can help them and their team get them on track so they recover as best as they can. Neuropsychology refers to a whole broad range of issues that can affect people's behavior because of their brain. So things like stroke, traumatic brain injury, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, dementias, brain cancers, all those sorts of things where something is happening inside the person's brain that's sort of more structural, and that's what's causing the issues. And the issues can range from stuff like memory complaints, problems paying attention, to difficulties with speech, impulsive behavior, all sorts of different things. So I'm qualified to assess and treat those issues as well. Because this is a general information video, I can't give you specific information about what you and I will be doing together, which you'll get from me one-on-one, but I do want to just give you a broad overview of some information that applies to everybody. So, your work with me is going to be completely voluntary. So what that means is that you can stop anytime you like, and if you don't want to get started, you don't have to get started. So just because you've consented to come see me and you've started to come see me does not mean that you have to continue. You can stop at any time. Also, if I ask you to do something and you don't want to do it, you don't have to do it. I'm not trying to force anybody to do anything against their will. And we can talk about that more if you want to, for sure. Another thing that's important to know is that I have rules around confidentiality, and almost everything remains confidential, but there are some exceptions. So if you are telling me about an issue, and let's say a family member of yours calls me up and wants to know more information about what you told me, I can't talk to them unless I have your consent to talk to them about that issue. So, for example, if we're having a feedback session and you want a family member there with you, then you're consenting for them to be getting that information. Them calling me up is not you consenting. I do my very best to follow the rules about keeping everybody's personal information safe in terms of using things like VPNs and making sure that there's very limited access to your information to comply with the laws and to keep you safe. However, there are some circumstances when I would have to share information outside of our relationship. One of those is that I have a variety of staff here who may be involved in your care in one way or another. So those people will have access to the limited amount of information that they need to do their job. If you let me know that you're planning on harming or killing yourself or somebody else, I will have to do something to protect you or the other people involved. That doesn't mean sometimes I wish I were dead or sometimes I think about suicide. Really, that means I plan on leaving this office with you and doing something about it. At that point, I need to protect you or the other people involved, and we will work together to make that happen should it arise. If you let me know that a healthcare provider is sexually abusing you, then I have to report that to their governing body to protect you and their other patients. If you let me know that a person in a long-term care facility or a retirement residence, someplace like a nursing home, is being abused or neglected, then I have to report that to the Ministry of Health and Long-Term Care. If you let me know that a child is at risk of harm or neglect, then I'm going to have to report that information to Children's Aid. And I will work with you to try to do that in a way that protects you and the children involved as much as I can. And in the remote possibility that you went missing, if the police asked me to divulge information to them to try to help find you, I would have to cooperate with the police. The only other two reasons that I would share information are if the College of Psychologists of Ontario, who is my governing body, wanted to review my work for quality assurance. They do have a right to take a look at all my files just to make sure I'm doing my job. They don't share information with other people, just to make sure that I'm doing my job. And if a court required me to release information about you or to appear in court about you, I do have to obey the courts. So I tell you all of this not because I expect these things to happen. Generally, they don't. But I need to let everybody know that it is a possibility, so it's not a surprise if one of those things comes up. The purpose of our work together is generally for your benefit. I endeavor to be as accurate as I can and as helpful as I can in the work that I do. I am always going to tell you what I'm doing, and for the most part, why I'm doing it. I don't want to have any secrets from anyone, so it will be pretty clear. Thank you so much for listening to this video. I know it's kind of a bit to absorb, but I hope that helps you understand what you're consenting to if you're working with me. Thank you.